Are you a professional pillow fighter? Or a 9-to-5 low-cost time travel agent? Or maybe real estate sales on Mars is your profession? It doesn't matter. Whatever it is you do, however complex or intricate, Monday.com can help you organize, orchestrate, and make it more efficient. Monday.com is the one centralized platform for everything work-related. And with Monday.com, work is just easier. Monday.com, for whatever you run. Go to Monday.com to learn more.
Well, I don't see the point in waiting any longer. So let's bring her out. The star attraction, the one you came to see. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Miss Judy Gold.
Ladies and gentlemen, live from Provincetown, Mass. I took photos so you can see that we're sitting on our guest's deck at the inn that she is staying out here in Provincetown. I saw her show last night. She is fucking phenomenally talented. Phenomenally talented. I'm not starting this episode with I'm in a bad mood. You know why? Because if you could see what the fuck I'm looking at right now, it's unbelievable. It's Jesus. Unbelievable. Born in Yonkers, just a true New Yorker and a talent, lady of 1,000 voices, host of on Sirius XM. Even though I did have a show there, and then I could do something negative. I had a show on Sirius XM.
Oh, did
and
you?
Yeah, and then they just were like, no, we're. And then I was in negotiations for my own show, and they were like, right at the, like, okay, we'll accept it. They're like, oh, forget it. This woman, I don't know. I've known her since I moved to New York. I've known who she was. She's been in Forbidden Broadway, Forbidden Hollywood, Musical the Musical. She's been on Broadway. She was Mama Morton in Chicago. Little Me with Martin Short and Faith Prince. That's on Broadway. And she was like a woman of 5,000 voices in talk radio, which was a great, great show starring, what's his name? Lev.
Yeah.
Lev.
No, you got it right.
Can you be, it's so Jewy, that name.
It's pretty.
And yes, I think he's only oh, wait.
I don't know.
That's the Jew bell, sorry.
Oh, what's
So anything that is any remotely Jewish gets a bell.
Oh, good.
So that, and everyone hates it. But I need to, our brand is going down. The Jew brand with Jeffrey Epstein and Stephen Miller and, Jared Kushner, Michael Cohen. So, I'm just pointing out that we do contribute good things. Okay,
Of course.
She was on The Sopranos, dead. And her name, if you don't know already, you're a fucking idiot, is Christine Pedi, ladies and gentlemen. Yay!
I'm going to put that on my answering machine, Judy.
Okay, that's good.
It's Christine
The fact
Pedi,
that you said answering machine makes me feel so fucking old. I saw your show last night here in Provincetown. And if you hear seagulls and stuff, it's because we're outside, as you'll see.
Oh, puff.
Yeah. And... I do the same thing in my act where I have to say, I had a landline. You have to fucking explain what mailing a letter is.
I couldn't mail a letter. And it was to get into affordable housing, the actors' housing.
Right.
And I was on my way out of town, and I went outside just to mail a letter. I don't never leave the house unless there's major multitasking involved.
Right.
All right. I remember reading somewhere, this was probably 20 years ago, this article, but it said, if you leave your apartment, it's a $20 exit fee.
Oh, yeah, I remember that article.
Yeah.
About living in New York. Yeah.
And so I'd never leave the apartment with just one task in hand,
Right.
but I had to get this letter in the mail. I walked probably a radius of 5 blocks in every direction.
And you couldn't find a mailbox?
Find a freaking mailbox. Then I went to the post office.
Oh, yeah.
Mailbox was locked.
Are you fucking kidding
me? To mail a letter is ridiculous.
But they've now changed it. So it's a slot instead of pulling the thing down. You pull the drawer down.
Maybe it wasn't locked.
Oh, no, it's now a slot. Because
I
so
wondered.
people
I
can't.
tried to open it all the way and it wouldn't go. So
No.
Oh, so they think
I've done
I can't
it.
throw
I've
a
stood
bomb
there.
in there.
Yeah, I've stood there.
Jesus.
And been like, I'm a fucking idiot, and then I figured out it's a slot.
Well, I was officially a fucking idiot because I had to go to Canada and mail it there.
Are you fucking kidding
I swear
me?
to God, I had
Wasn't
to
it more postage?
I didn't care. I was trying to get affordable housing, So
yeah, fuck it.
We'll try. Speaking of housing, well, I can't believe where I'm
Okay,
sitting. I'm sorry to gloat, you guys, but I gloat. I will. You know, look.
I just can't with this. It's so beautiful. I love it here so much. I can't even tell.
Yeah.
Don't come here. But if you're, if you're
we don't
thinking
want
of
it to get too
coming,
crowded.
it's already too
very
crowded.
crowded, yeah.
And if you're straight, go to Wellfleet or Hyannis.
Is that where they go?
No, they come here now because we wanted equality.
Well, I'm straight, but I'm sort of
No, you're
so
part of the
gay
gay.
adjacent.
You're the gay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Christine, let's start. You're extremely talented. You're one of those people who's just a savant. You're like it's amazing. It's amazing, and I find you fascinating on many levels. But to start from, we always talk about childhoods because I hated mine so. And I just want, if you're young and you're like, people like to know. I like to know about the person. Now, you were born in Yonkers, the
Yonkers
Bronx
Hospital.
Yeah. Then you lived in the Bronx and then
Just
Eastchester.
for a year or two, and then
yeah.
we went up to Eastchester. I went to high school in New Rochelle.
Yes, you went to a Catholic girls' school.
Oh, very fancy pants
Yeah.
Catholic girls' school, which I paid for half of in student aid. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
worked. I'd worked since I was old enough to have a paper route. I've never not worked. I don't understand.
I know,
sorry.
they don't.
Here
No,
we go.
I have
Here we go.
kids.
Come on. This is. Come
I
on.
know.
This is. Come on.
No, that's
These
not
kids
Jewish.
today. Oh, it's not.
Oh.
I beg to differ. These kids today, they don't have it like we had it. They have to wear.
horrible.
Come on. And I wanted it. I loved it. I loved getting my own money.
But right, you had your
You
own.
know.
I started babysitting. I mean, I did get in trouble because I was babysitting these kids up the hill. I lived at the bottom of a hill, and
Where was the hill?
in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
No, I love New Jersey. I love New Jersey. I just didn't. I'm not happy about the town they picked. My parents picked. All right, my parents. And I'm very childish and childlike, and I let them ride their skateboard in the kitchen after we threw buckets of water on the floor, like an idiot. Like I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I'm like 12. But I was tall. Like people think tall people are more mature.
That's right.
And so they came
my
home
God.
and every one of their towels was like soaking wet. Yeah, I lost the job. But I still, when I ran into the kids, I'd be like, was I your favorite babysitter? Like I'm such a fuck. Oh, they were Jews. Okay. Anyway. So your parents were both hairdressers.
My father went to hairdressing school because he thought he could meet women that way, and indeed he did.
Wow.
And as a matter of fact,
Where was he from, by the way?
the Bronx.
Okay.
My mother was from Yonkers. He was from the Bronx.
And both Italian?
Both totally Italian.
So, and then where did they come from in Italy?
They both first generation.
Yeah.
So my father's parents were from Sicily.
Oh, God.
My mother's from Calabria. Not
Wow.
only, oh God, let me tell you something. We had the DNA done.
Yeah.
All right. So they're essentially 75 to 80% totally Italian, and then there's a Greek and Eastern
Right.
European in there.
Because people go fuck and then come
that's
back.
right.
Yeah.
So, but what they do is every country that you might be from, like if you're a little Greek, they'll put little green dots around Greece.
Oh, yeah, I know. I have
And
that.
if you're blue, they'll put blue dots around Albania, whatever. If the Italian dots were yellow,
Right.
my mother had yellow dots around the southern region of the boot,
Right.
which is Calabria.
Right.
Peppered around the southern region.
Right.
My father, on the island of Sicily, there were so many goddamn dots. It was one huge yellow throbbing orb, okay?
Yeah.
And I am so freaking Sicilian that you should step away.
Right.
You should really be afraid.
I mean, I know a lot of Sicilian people. It is kind of true about that.
They're crazy.
Yeah, the temper,
I didn't
I don't
have
even
that
know if
because
it's a temper more than it's like a passion, overly passionate.
Well, from my people, they were mountain people and a lot of inbreeding. Oh, so
Really?
much. Oh my God in heaven. My father's parents were first cousins. Now here's the thing. Ooh, right?
No, because my grandparents were second cousins.
Okay. Well, what'll even help us understand it more is when I
Yeah.
went to Calabria to visit my mother and father, and I went.
Right.
And my mother's parents lived on neighboring mountaintops, basically.
Okay.
Also gorgeous.
Right.
Also, we went to the villages high up. The air was clean.
Right,
And the
right.
view of the Ionian Sea. And of course, you and I would want to buy a place to like go and have our nervous breakdowns
Right,
and
right.
write our books there
Right,
now.
right.
But they were peasants and they wanted a better life.
Right.
So I thought, wait, my grandmother lived on this mountain. He lived on that mountain. How did they find each other? Well, back then, in the early 1920s, I guess, you didn't just say, see you, Pop. I'm going to go out with the girls and
Right.
meet some guys. You didn't. First of all, they'd kill you.
Right.
You had to be chaperoned because
Right.
you didn't go out as it was not virtuous, and
Right.
it was dangerous.
Right.
It was dangerous. So you couldn't. I realized visiting my mother's side that they met because they would have parties. They would have a big festival or party or something, and they both mountain people would meet somewhere.
Would they see the party from the other mountaintop?
No, they'd know about it. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
okay.
They weren't so far away that the word didn't get out, that there was going to be a party on this day or whatever. So
Right.
I believe that's how they met. Was at some party that both the community went to from both villages and both mountains. Okay, then I suddenly realized, oh, that's why people, married their cousins in Sicily. Sicily was very dangerous. So my grandmother wasn't going to. I said, Mama, how did you, why didn't you go look for somebody else?
Well, how
that
were they
wasn't your
gonna get
cousin?
there? It's
well,
not like-
exactly.
yeah.
It wasn't easy.
It wasn't
And then-
easy to travel,
And
period.
the real running joke is I was interviewing her, and it's somewhere on a cassette tape. Kids, a cassette tape. Anyway, so I interviewed her, and my father was listening, and I said, "So, Mama, you married your cousin, so you're a petty, and he was a petty." I said, "So, what was your mother's maiden name?" Pedi. No, Mama. Your father's name was Petty. I know, and you married a Petty. But no, your name before you got married. Pedi. I said, no, but your mother's name. What was her name? Pedi. My mother's a Pedi. My father's a Pedi. Now, my father sat here at the kitchen table and went, what? What? I did not know this. I didn't know
Now, do you
this.
think you have any? I always attribute my, depression, anxiety, any medical issue I have, arthritis, to the fact that my grandparents were second cousins.
I don't think that applies. My mother checked this out before she got married, that as long as, if her kids were going to be okay,
Right.
they said, no, as long as you and your husband are not second cousins, you know what I mean? Or first cousins.
Right.
So I don't know, but I'll consider it.
Yeah.
I really will.
Now, you know what? As I talk to you, I realize I should talk to every one of my guests about how their family came to America. Because I talk about...
Absolutely.
That's an important thing I'm adding to my podcast. Listeners, okay.
Last
because
time
it's important.
Last
It's
time I saw
important.
Fiddler on the Roof, it never dawned on me in all these years to think about my grandmother actually 16, one of them, the other was maybe in her 20s, getting on a boat and coming here.
Oh,
and the
my
culture
God.
shock
Can you
then.
imagine kids today going, listen, we got to get out of here? It would be like, wait, let me Snapchat before I leave. I got to take a video and,
And there's
they have no fucking idea.
Oh, but they also have no separation anxiety because we're really not separated because we can,
Exactly.
find each other in the palm of our hand.
Right.
But so Fiddler, I was weeping because I said suddenly this time around, every time you see a play, it resonates on a different level for a different reason. And
This Yiddish one you're talking about.
no, the
Oh,
one
okay.
before that, the Yiddish one, I'll be in a puddle.
Oh,
Absolutely in a puddle.
Elisa, my lover.
that's
Hysterical.
Jewish.
Elisa.
Oh, she's Jewish.
Yeah.
Oh, I
I
get
love
it.
her.
Okay.
Elisa Dawn. She was sobbing because her grandmother was from Russia and from and she went there with her. And just the language, the Yiddish, she kept, all these words they were saying was like bringing her back. And she was very close with her grandmother. So, first of all, that Yiddish one, the Yiddish
Everybody says to see it, yeah.
the only way to see. It is the only way to see Fiddler on the Roof.
so
It's
happy
my
to hear that.
favorite. As a Jew, I have, how many? I don't know how many
Just
times
stop
I've
being
fucking
Jewish
seen it.
for a minute because my ear.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
People complain about it, but
No, that's okay. Touch it, and then the resonance stops. That's good.
yeah, okay.
It's fun to tap the little.
I know you can.
Stainless
I'm
steel
at the
tip
point
there.
where if I forget,
Yeah.
the guest will always go. All right.
Oh, I did it.
Yeah, I
did it.
know.
2 of those were mine.
Yeah.
Not the recent ones, but
Yeah, but it's amazing that Yiddish Fiddler. But your first. Wait, I have this thing. I
you take notes. You
I
are
do.
prepared.
I do a lot of research, but my notebook is in my New York apartment. So the last 2 I've had to write on paper,
Oh God, paper.
and it's not
Kids, paper.
paper. It's made from trees, and it's called. How about? All right, and then we'll move on. What is this? Where people are like, oh, you don't need to write cursive. Yes, you
Oh,
do.
kiss my ass with
Fuck
that
you,
stuff.
you
I
fucking
can't stand
fuck.
it. You know what it is? Yeah, what's the whole point? Isn't the whole point of cursive is that you have a signature, meaning it is your
Yes.
personal mark
Yes.
that people cannot. There's nothing that says I approve of this. I acknowledge this.
And
your
it's
signature.
a piece, and your signature says something about you.
Of course it does. Oh,
But now it's all about the fucking, your retina and your fingerprint. It's just
how
fuck. We've
terrible.
turned into we're like fucking robots.
That's awful.
Okay.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with Auto Quote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
The first album that you ever heard was My Fair Lady,
yeah.
and the first album you owned was Bye Bye Birdie.
Yeah. So my fair
Now-
lady, go ahead.
Okay, so I know that you grew up just listening to Broadway shows.
Not really. Only
those two?
Not until high school.
Okay.
So I didn't quite grow up.
You heard My Fair Lady, which, by the way, was my father's favorite musical. Loved it. He
smart
was
man.
born in 1916, my father. So, but he loved that. And then he loved Bye Bye. My father, I don't know. Elise is like, he must have been a little, and I'm like, no, he was not gay. Okay, he was a gentleman. He
My
had
father,
a
too.
garden. The garden, loved theater, loved. He no.
Did he care about sports? Mine didn't.
No,
Could have cared less.
Could have cared less, except he did go to Rutgers. We all went to Rutgers because we lived in New Jersey. But at one point in like the late 70s, I think, they were either in the final, the 8 or the 4, the final 4 of the NCAA. And I remember he was like really like, oh, I'm going to have a heart attack, which is what he died of if they don't win. Okay, so, and they didn't win. But
So My Fair Lady was his favorite.
he loved theater. You know what I used to watch with him?
What?
Lawrence Welk Show.
That's
that
a
horrible?
trip. That's a trippy thing to watch now. It's a trippy
It's
thing.
good to if you want to get stoned and do something, do it to the Lawrence Welk Show.
It was pretty trippy sober.
Yeah.
Pretty
No.
trippy sober.
I'm saying now, you get a whole other
Oh, yes.
because you're just like, oh my, who are these fucking people? Is it
The
a
Lemon
cult?
Sisters.
Oh my God. And it's so sort of God and religion and I don't know, it's so wholesome, but they were so talented and they now repeat them with the people who
Yeah. Coming back and reminiscing. The
And-
accordion player.
Yes.
And the hair.
Oh
the
my
hair,
God, the
cheesed
hair.
up hair, which is what made my parent, which was basically what bought my parents' first house.
So all
That
right.
hair.
So you're a little girl, siblings?
Brother, sister, not theatrical, could care less.
Same. Now, what are you number? 1, 2, or 3?
Oldest.
Wow, that's it.
Obsessing, worried about everything.
See, Elisa
Ding.
is an oldest and I'm the youngest.
Very different.
And she thinks she fucking knows everything and bosses me around. It's so fucking annoying. But,
Yeah, but if you're the youngest, you shouldn't give a damn because you're looser and,
I'm so
Shouldn't worry about
I'm
stuff.
so feel like I'm a piece of shit. Anyway, but
About that
antidepressants.
in our next session.
So you are this little girl. Now your parents own this salon, which they ended up selling once the blow dryer became popular. Is that
yeah,
correct?
pretty much. Yeah. In the early 70s, that's what happened.
Did you hang out at the salon?
As a little girl, I was in the single digits, remember?
Yeah.
I remember going there. My mother was very cute. Had a cute little figure. Basically, my father became a hairdresser to meet women,
Right.
and indeed, he met my mother. He had to deliver something from. They used to have chains of beauty salons in the different department stores.
Oh, yes,
And
yes.
They worked for I think my father worked for one in New York, and he had to make a delivery to one in, I think Mount Vernon, but he accidentally went to the one in Yonkers, and that's where I saw my mother.
Dang, it was beshared.
Well, and so they got married and then opened a tiny salon.
Were they
and
very
then-
young when they got
Oh,
married?
yes, very young. My mother was 19. Yeah.
Oh, my
and
God.
my father wasn't. He was 29. But
Do you want to hear how old my mother was?
how old?
She was 32. She got married in 1954.
Wow.
32, which is like, she had me at 41. My father was 48.
Gosh.
Okay.
That's a lot. Yeah, well, good for them. You know?
Yeah. I mean, they're
Mavericks.
dead. It sucks, but
I know.
I did have this completely different perspective of the world because my grandmother, who lived, I shared a room with her every weekend in our house, and she was born in 1896. So
My grandfather was 1897. Yeah.
and just she used to tell me, oh, my grandmother, I loved you, Dorothy. She told me, like, these were the things that she said were so important: penmanship. Reading. She wanted me to read Little Women. And
Was she from here?
she was. I'm like fourth generation on my mother's side, and second on my father's. But anyway, it's just interesting the value system. And I just did your father know when he was like, oh, I'll be a hairdresser, I'll meet women, that they were all going to be gay except for him?
That has never come up.
Yeah.
It is. I should have to ask my mother about that. That's never come up. And when they had their salon, they had all female operators. They called them the operators. And I remember them. I remember the little pink uniforms, and they had the teased hair. And never. I don't remember any guys, and it never.
It never even occurred to you.
No, it never occurred to me. And my parents, there just weren't any in the. I'm sure they were around, but not in their.
Did your father
circle.
what did he do at the salon? What was the name of the salon?
Salvatore's Hair Designs.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, Salvatore's Hair Designs. That was in the era of Vidal Sassoon.
Right.
And everything, but they didn't do that kind of hair. They didn't do that asymmetrical, funky stuff.
Did they do the...
they teased everything.
And then they sat under that big...
Oh, sure. I have one. I actually
love that.
saved it.
Can I tell you something?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have it as a piece in your house?
I have the seat part in my storage space because I thought I'd move into an apartment that could hold it. But I'm paying $200 a month to store shit
I would
that I'll never use.
I know, same.
And my mother has the top part, the actual hood that goes into it. I thought I'd reupholster it in chintz or something.
That's
and make
a
it
great
funky.
idea.
Isn't it? Yeah, I need that affordable
But
housing. It's the only way it's going to work, baby.
Do you know that way of drying your hair
Mm-hmm.
is like the best way of not having frizzy hair? And
I know it.
that's why
Yeah.
people use a diffuser and stuff.
We used to, I used that thing until probably college. It was in my
No.
mother's basement because when
I
they
love
sold,
it.
she kept one. And I used the hard plastic rollers and I'd set my hair and then put a net over it
Oh, my
and
God.
sit in the dryer.
Oh my
That's
God.
what I did.
You know what my mother told me the worst thing was?
What?
You can't walk out of the house with rollers in your hair.
No, that's not. Yeah, I remember my most vivid memory of somebody doing that was in the Bronx when I was at my grandmother's house one day. I slept over, woke up in the morning, and the lady next door was screaming at her son, and she had rollers in her hair, and I just came in to hear only this line: "Because you have to go to fucking school. That's why." That's all I heard. That's like the memory I have of what happens to you when you go outside with rollers in your hair.
Now, I just want you also to know, I just want you to know that I grew up in New Jersey next to the Antonellis and the DiSavinos. So I love Italian people.
They're a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I find the similarities between Jews and...
I think the most prominent feature is, from my perspective, the kids never have to leave the house.
Right, there's
my
this
parents
bond.
My parents weren't like, stay, don't leave. But I never left, and they never said don't. They never said don't stay.
Right, my son is with
they
me
just
right
let
now.
me,
My 23.
How old's your son?
The 21's going to be 20. He's 23, the older one. He's with me. The 18-year-old is at a prep school playing basketball because he's going to college.
Lovely.
Yeah. Okay, so... You hung out in the salon. Did your father cut the hair? Did he just?
They each
did
had
everyone?
their own regulars,
Right.
and their stations,
Did everyone? All the women come to see Salvatore?
I don't know that. Wouldn't say that, but he was fun.
Yeah,
As a
I
matter of
bet.
fact, he passed away about 2 years ago. And
Oh,
one of
rest his
his
soul.
Georgette, Georgette, one of his operators. That's what they call them. Because of Facebook, people find each other now from the deep.
That's why you don't have to go to the high school reunion.
That's kind of true. Or when you go, everybody's very hip to what everybody else has been doing.
Oh, I heard you got a divorce.
Yeah, they've been, they've read up.
Yeah,
they've done they know your backstory. But anyway, yeah, and she wrote these lovely things because she'd been reaching out to him, and then in the interim he passed away, and then she wrote to me and said, "Oh, I remember how funny he was and how he laughed. He was a funny guy, my father, very funny guy." And the job I used to have was to take the brushes and with a teasing comb pull out all the hair on the brushes and throw it away.
Oh, yeah.
And then put the brushes in this sort of like cylinder that had holders for each of the brushes.
Right.
And then I would wash them with shampoo, rubbing two together, and then put them in the cylinder that would go up into the dryer and dry the wet brushes.
Wow, cool.
And I remember that blue Barbicide, I think it is.
Yes,
it's that tall,
with the combs in it.
Yeah, with the combs.
And it has a little thing. Yeah.
And I was at a fancy spa, working, of course. I wasn't giving massages or cleaning the bathroom, but I was absolutely given
Yes.
access to
Yes.
the fancy facilities, and I saw this same exact blue water in the same exact tall glass
that
jar.
stuff. Let me tell you something. Don't fix it if it's not broken.
I love that.
Yeah.
It'll do fine.
So, how old were you when they sold the salon?
Oh, I don't know. I was in maybe 12 or something.
And then your father became a bus driver, and your mother went to real estate.
Yeah.
And at that time, you went into this parochial school. Now, were you popular, like in grammar school, middle school?
We'll take a picture and you can post it because I
Okay.
have the thickest glasses in the world. All right.
Yeah, you have
When I
eye
tell you-
issues. Is that
a lot,
correct?
ever since birth. Very, 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 very
That's from the.
nearsighted.
You know what that's from?
The inbreeding.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Well, happily, I'll blame somebody.
Okay.
I'd like to blame somebody.
And wait, do your siblings have eye issues?
Nope. I'm the only one.
Okay.
Everybody wears reading
Did your
glasses,
mother?
so.
Did your mother eat a lot of carrots? She should have eaten more carrots.
Well, I asked my mother if she took any particular medications
Yes.
when she was pregnant, and here's the thing: we're diverting into other interesting areas.
Sorry.
But my mother was only 19 when she had 20 when she had me, and clearly young and inexperienced about a lot of things. But she told her doctor she didn't want to take medications. She didn't want to
Wow.
be knocked out.
Wow,
Right?
good for her.
Bastard knocked her out.
What a fucking.
Isn't
this
that
is men
disgusting?
and their fucking bullshit.
Absolutely.
Take your fucking hands off my body.
If I think of it, it'll kill. It kills
Yeah,
me.
I
It
bet.
kills me because my mother and I don't think of it a lot because we're not that kind of people. Like, on
but she
Mother's-
had the agency to,
She did. So, like on Mother's Day, I'm never. I should be more like this. We all should be.
Right.
Mom, what were your memories of having me? You know what I'm saying? She doesn't have any.
Fuck
You know what I
him.
mean? She doesn't have any. She doesn't
Fuck
remember
him.
her first child being put in her arms.
He's a
Okay.
fuck.
And
I want him dead.
Right. Well, he is happily. So,
Was he Jewish?
His name was Smith, so he probably was.
Yeah.
We'll
Fuck
give
you,
him that.
Smith.
So the thing is that parochial school I went to, all right, my high school, my fancy high school,
And it's Catholic, right?
it's Catholic, but they had a parenting class.
Wow.
And we had it at the teacher's home because it was an extra sort of, she only had this one class. And that is where we learned about so many things about birth control, but also about how to talk to your child, how to do that active listening with a child. Like,
Wow.
oh, so, your
That's
doll
so ahead
broke
of its
and-
time.
Yeah, it's like, that makes you sad that the doll broke, instead of, oh, don't worry, it'll be okay. Let's
Right.
kiss the doll, which is fine.
So
after you've
acknowledging
wrapped it.
that you have feelings and that they're
exactly.
valid.
And talking about childbirth, and she had a couple of kids. One of them she was awake for. Another one they knocked her out, and she showed us slides. This was best. Kids, a slide is
Yes, a slide
it's
is,
like a
yeah.
still motion picture. Anyway, photographs of her on the slide screen after the birth of the child, where she'd been knocked out. And her sort of holding the child, looking so not present, so not there, so out of it. And I never forgot that. Never forgot it.
I have to say, the greatest moment is holding that baby and looking. It's just I can't even explain it. And my older son, my ex had, and she was having issues, and they just handed him right to me. And so I had that moment. And then, I had the same moment with Ben. I mean,
That's great.
it's so fuck you, man. Fuck you. But
Yeah.
all right, this is just to say something. I just read this article that this kid was living on like French fries and like an early teen and French fries and like chicken nuggets for years.
Oh God.
He's blind. He became blind.
It's funny because the first thing, because I'm going through, is I am practically almost completely blind in one eye.
No way.
Yeah. And I have the other one's sort of going, so I'm in a tenuous
Precarious,
place
yeah,
right
yeah.
now. And I have been doing absolutely everything on every level you can imagine, from spiritual to metaphysical to going to the freaking gym to diet. Now, look, I always knew what garbage was because my 19-year-old mother, my 20-year-old mother when she had me, also there was very rarely was there garbage in her house. Entenmann's was the one exception. You know what I mean? It was sacred.
Oh Lord!
It was
It was it. That was it.
That was dessert.
What's yours? Pecan Danish ring?
Oh, we had
the coffee cake was so good.
It was a coffee cake. It was all there was
even
always
the vanilla with the chocolate. That was
yeah. The blackout cake
yes.
was a good one too. The chocolate blackout cake. Yeah, I know. So there was that, but it was always in moderation, which is, I think, look, I'll blame anybody on being overweight. So I blame the fact that my mother portioned out everything and wouldn't let me eat. My mother wouldn't let me be fat. So that's why I'm fat, Mom.
You're following, Varla Jane did the podcast
yeah.
the last 2 weeks, and he was a very fat kid, and his mother put a lock on the refrigerator and treated him differently.
It's very hard.
It's I'm just going to say this, for my 16th birthday, my grandmother bought me this book, the women doctor's diet for teenage girls. That was my present.
Oh God.
And
Oh God.
and I look back and I say, because I was so big, I'm the size of a male football. I mean, I really am the size of a male football player. And
Well, you're tall, but
I'm tall,
were you
but
heavy?
I look back and I go, I'm the heaviest I've ever been now.
Yeah, I know we all do that, right?
Yeah, but it's menopause and I'm on antidepressants and, I'm writing a book, but whatever it is. But I wasn't. And I watched this episode of Room 222, okay? And Bob Balaban.
That's Jewish. Oh, Bob Balaban's
Yeah.
Jewish. Okay.
Sorry. Bob Balaban was playing it was an after-school special. And Bob Balaban, it might have been Room 2. All right. Anyway, he was playing.
After school specials are Jewish?
No. I just
Okay.
Bob Balaban. I don't
Okay.
even know what the fuck I'm doing.
Okay.
Bob Balaban played this kid who was like a sophomore, whatever. He was he was the new kid, and he was really obnoxious because he was fat. Right.
Yeah.
And at the end, it's like I think it was Room 222. They're like, "You're great. You don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to overcome. Whatever." Or he was miserable. He was like, "Well, I don't remember." But there was a personality problem because he was overcompensating. And I look at that. He's not even fat. Fat in the 60s and 70s is not like these people that walk around here and they're like, it's not like. Even if you went to go to McDonald's or Burger King, the soft drink was fucking 8 ounces.
I know, they were tiny.
And the ring dings, they were tiny.
They were little.
I know, we have no portion control.
No,
okay.
we don't. We're disgusting.
right.
Our portions are. I just
It's
came from
ridiculous.
Fort Worth yesterday.
Go to fucking, oh my God.
Oh,
go
Lord
to
in heaven.
Wisconsin. It's like, have the fried cheese.
Have the beer cheese soup. When I went to Minneapolis, they had. I said, "What in heaven's name is beer cheese soup?" And I said, "Well, it's
cheese.
soup made of cheese and beer." And
It's
I just
so,
thought, you're allowed that's allowed?
Yeah.
I just felt like it could be allowed.
This week's episode of It's Judy Show with Judy Gold is sponsored by BetterHelp. And if you know me, which I think you do because you're listening to my podcast right now, you know that I am a big advocate for therapy. I think it benefits everyone. I think there's so many people who need it, who don't partake. It is so important for your emotional health and well-being. Therapy is fantastic. It is in every stretch of the imagination. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, please do it. But please give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online. It's designed to be convenient. It's flexible. It suits your schedule. You fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. I have switched therapists in my life. I've had many, many therapists, and sometimes it's not a great fit for you, but don't give up. Therapy is beneficial. You can learn about yourself, you can process, and just be emotionally healthy. I'm telling you, do it. BetterHelp is great because, when I used to schlep to my therapist's office, it was so annoying. You have to do, and you sit there and you wait, and then I'm telling you, doing it online is fantastic. And BetterHelp is amazing. I know a lot of people who've used it. So if you're thinking about therapy, go to BetterHelp.com. Let the gratitude flow. This is Gratitude Month, people. So you need to let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Judy Gold, JudyGold, today, and you will get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Judy Gold. You're welcome.
Why were we talking about overweight?
I don't. Just because you blame your mother for the overweightness.
But there was a reason, and I have to.
This
circle
is
back
called
to,
menopause. Okay.
But maybe we were talking about. We were talking about with the stuff in the house, and
Right.
anyway, my mother was very, very progressive, even in that way.
And
Tried
your
not to have preservatives and
also,
like that.
your mother worked.
Oh, because of the
What?
eating.
Yes,
'Cause of
for the eating.
I've been eating, really trying to
Oh,
eat
right,
not
'cause the
processed
eye.
foods. Because
We
the
got
eyes,
there. We got
not
there.
processed foods.
Yes.
And it's not the easiest thing in the world. It's not the hardest thing in the world either. It depends on how extreme you get. I know somebody who eats nothing processed, not even oil. It's too processed. She
Okay,
takes it to
and
that
my brother's
extreme.
like that.
Right. But honestly, it changes your palate. Like I passed this place called Juice. Joe Juice. I forget.
Oh,
what it's called.
Joe Juice.
Something like that.
Yeah, I
Juice
have
Press.
one.
Juice Press. It's
Okay.
called. And I would open the door to that place, smell the veganness, and then just close it and
Same.
go, not in a million
Same.
years. Yeah.
I walk in,
No,
but
it's
they
too-
just did a study. I read all the time. I'm like a fucking mental patient, but they just did a study, and vegans and vegetarians are now 20% more likely to get heart disease. There's some disease. I have it on my phone. I'll tell you later.
What I discovered doing this, like trying to eat less meat and blah blah blah, is that I could probably go really, really pure. I think
Right.
because you get scared, you think, no, I can't live my life like that, never having a piece of bacon ever, or whatever. But what I discovered after doing it for a few months is that I go off the wagon and have a lot of ice cream or a
Right.
hamburger, and I can go back on. I can then just say,
Oh, my
I can
God.
go for
You
3-4
know what?
weeks,
You
okay,
know what
and then have
happened?
whatever the hell I want whenever I want it, and then just go back on.
The time I got to, there were 2 times where I got to like my goal weight. One was a clinical depression.
What does
so
that feel like? Oh, clinical depression.
Yeah, so that was not bad. But once I came out, it took a couple of years to really come out. But once I came out, one of my friends was like, Judy, I know you're terribly depressed, but boy, that depression diet is good. And the other was I went on Weight Watchers, and I had one day a week where I could eat whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
And I just did Weight Watchers, and I cheated one day, and it was fucking easy. Okay, so you went to high school, you had to wear a uniform.
Oh yeah.
And I love that your now a teacher would never bring the kid to the house to discuss.
Well, this was a class, so we all came to this.
Right.
It was the full class.
Yeah, but they would never allow that now.
Oh, not now. Of course
You
not.
can't
Oh,
do
no,
anything.
no, you
Did you
can't.
get hit? Did you get hit?
By the
Did you get
teachers?
smacked?
No, I had no bad experiences in Catholic grammar school or high school. No, absolutely
Did you
not.
like going to school with all girls?
I did. Here's the thing. I went to school with all girls. I had no problem with it. I did, the plays with the boys' school, so I saw boys.
That's what I was going to
Yeah, I
ask
did
you.
plays
So
with the
when you
boys'
did a
school.
play, it was with the
Yeah, it was with
brother school?
The brother school. And I didn't realize until after the fact, the 2 things that I realized about going to an all-girls school was, first of all, it really does give you a better sense of your strength as a person. I could say as a woman, but no, as a person. Because when you, let's say you run for student government or you're the head of a club or something, you don't have that, oh, the boys will vote for the boys and the girls will vote for the girls.
Everything's equal. It's an equal playing field.
Yeah, you don't consider yourself as a woman.
Right.
You consider yourself as a person. But, look, life isn't that way.
Do you think it's a bigger shock when you go into the real world?
I thought it was going to be. I thought, well, when I go to my first college, co-ed college class, it's going to be like, boys. I don't even remember. I was nothing. It was perfectly normal.
Yeah.
Maybe because I felt normal. I also have to tell you, I like uniforms. Now, I didn't like the ones I had to wear because they were a little bizarre, but, the kilt concept,
as a mother,
yeah,
will now say, it would have been so much fucking easier.
Of course. They just have to amend them a little bit.
Pain in the fucking ass. And I have boys. And they're like, at some point they decided they were into fashion. And it was like, because they're in New York and they have to be.
You.
But they went through the slob sweatpants thing. I was like, no.
Did their pants go down below their ass? Like
they
do
did for a
things?
little, not around me.
Okay.
But they did. Yeah, they did it, and I'd scream at them, but they weren't that bad. But sometimes this slobby. I used to comics. I remember one time I was at Catch a Rising Star, and Adam Sandler was up there. He was like 20, 19, and Louis Ferranda, who now runs Caroline's, but he was the talent coordinator at Catch a Rising Star. Says to me, he's going to be a big star. And I go, he's in a fucking sweatpants and a dirty shirt and he hasn't shaved. And I was of this, because I think because my parents were so from a different generation. You get dressed up for work. It is your job. And every time I did stand up to this day, I'm like, oh, I have to get dressed for work. I just started not putting on so much makeup because I can't. I don't fucking care.
It's the same with even cabaret performers.
Yeah.
I'll agonize over what to wear,
right?
And then I'll go see somebody's act in a place like Provincetown,
right?
And they're like jeans,
yes,
and
ripped.
and I think the show's just as good. Not that it's nice to present a colorful image that pops
like it.
and
You
leaves a memory.
Even Elisa last night, she said that red shirt, that blouse is beautiful. I feel like cabaret performers
I gotta
are really
tell you where
a
to
step
get it. By
up.
the way, you know why? You can roll it up in a ball, and it just
I love it.
It just
It's
no
fucking
wrinkles.
great.
Bring to with your carry on. That's all I live for.
I love
now.
it.
It's just how to pack. But the uniform thing, I have to say, there too. There's equality, and even when I had, even in our uniforms, there was the girl who we could wear our own sweaters.
Yes.
Who'd have the cashmere sweater set,
exactly,
and the beautiful matching, perfectly beautiful knee socks that cost her $20, and I had to get the ones that
tube socks.
Yeah, and these kids should be able to wear like khakis or jeans, and then have like a rainbow assortment of t-shirts, and then everybody can sort of get a little expressive.
Then it's also you're not like obsessing over. Oh, look at this one we're in this.
Exactly, you're not
But
comparing.
it's also you can be more creative because you have this basic basic
you have the restrictions,
thing,
and that makes you think out of the
box. Yes. So I'm with you. Now, I also wanted to say one other thing regarding your eyes and your eyesight. If it was to happen to anyone, the fact that you are so auditory and amazingly, I read an interview you did with the Times, and the last line, what was it? You said,
what was
the last line was, they said, did you prepare? The interviewer had asked you, do you prepare? Do you listen to albums over and over again? And you said, no, I go to the theater and I pay attention. And to me, I don't want you to have bad. I mean, of course, but I'm just saying your gift is go whatever. You could be sitting in a wheelchair, but it's so.
Well, I appreciate it, and I do, because the problem is that I tend to complain, and
that was Christine hitting the bell.
I always worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. Ding, ding, ding. And believe me, but in tandem, and you're probably like this too, because people in our business, and we're tangential to stand up and theater and whatever. I really have to say, we appreciate. We know when we have it good. We know that sitting on the freaking deck of this beautiful.
We know
inn.
now.
Right, we know now, not
now.
after the fact.
No, I'm saying we didn't know in our 20s. You know, when you first
Well, I
make...
didn't have it in my 20s.
No, I'm saying if you first, like young people who get, I see it in comics, who will get something and they think this is going to last forever.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you have to fucking work and work in shitholes, I mean, I can't even, I would go to lunchrooms and like,
Yeah.
you know, at colleges and, you know.
I got a nursing home on Monday, so don't even.
Oh, I love that. But
yeah, but so basically, you understand that. So then, what happens is, as you move forward, and you actually realize, not only have I earned this, but this is not a meritocracy. Just because you're good doesn't mean you're going to get anything.
Right.
You know it, and I know it.
Yeah.
And the fact that you sort of made the cut, or nobody noticed that you slipped through. Being good is a given. We know you're wonderful, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get rewarded for it. So the fact that you actually do get rewarded for it, you have to appreciate it. Even the fact that, here's exactly what I mean. Now, I don't have it with me, but the one thing that Judy and I shared that is of so much value to me is that we were at the Friars Club on a night, the only two women at Mickey Freeman, who was in the Bill Crow show. He wanted me to perform. I guess he wanted you to perform. And we have a photograph of the people that got up and paid tribute to Mickey on his 90th birthday. God, I hope it was, because he didn't look 80.
Yeah.
But it was Larry Storch, Jerry Stiller, hold on, Five-ish Finkel, give him 2. Hold on, Larry Storch,
I remember
Professor Irwin Corey,
Yes.
Pat Cooper, he doesn't get one.
Yeah.
Italian. Hold on,
Hilarious.
Joe Franklin.
Dead.
I'm missing a big one. I'm missing a really, really big one. But we have a photograph on the stairs of the Friars Club, and we're the only two women in this picture. And I don't look good in any of the shots. Okay, I look like I'm in shock.
Oh,
but
please. I'm standing with, like, Jerry Stiller and Irwin Corey. I'm fucking gigantic in that photo. I am so head,
Yeah, but they were all withering
Five-ish,
anyway.
yeah.
They didn't have much calcium left, and so their bones were all brittle.
But that was how we,
But my point is gratitude. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, yes, we worked, we did our stuff. Yes, they wanted us because they knew we were going to put out and give them what
and
they
we
needed.
were good.
And we were good.
Those guys loved us. And
oh
they Alan King was really good to me. Buddy Hackett asked me to open for him and then put his head between my boobs. But I'm just saying, they saw the raw talent that they saw in, like, Francis Faye or Belle Barth. Those. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Don't forget to tune in next week to Just Kill Me Now.
It's Just Kill Me.
Oh. Don't forget to turn for part 2 on Just Kill Me.
No, it's not. It's
Just Kill Me.
No.
Judy Gold's Just Kill Me.
Just.
Just Kill Me Now.